welcome to a lovely Sunday here in the UK. Lovely dry weather, enabling us to get on with lots of small jobs. So therefore, this video isn't necessarily about one vehicle in particular. We're just looking through everything we're trying to get ready, mostly for Tankfest 2024. Behind me, you can see we've got the AMX13 105 out. What we will need to do a bit later on this video is we're just going to check the levels in it to make sure everything's good and dandy. Done the batteries already, so we know they're good. We tightened the tracks a couple of months ago, but we'll just check all the collets, etc, etc. What you can see is we've actually got it on the bed of our lorry. The reasoning for that is we're trying to find out what can we put on this piece of space here right at the end of the bed. Now it'd be great to take an extra vehicle to Tankfest just to pop on our reenactment stand that we've got there as well. So if you do see us, French Army Reenactment Group, come along, have a chat. I think Chris will probably be on the table there showing you through all the different firearms, etc. Have a chat with him. He's a great chap. He knows a lot. Meanwhile, we'll be in the tank park if you want to see us with the tank. So what could we fit onto that space? We obviously at the back we're pretty limited because we've got a headboard, so that's fine, but we're running in with about 1.5 meters of space, so that means perhaps we could get the Fardier on there. Lovely little piece of kit. One of our earlier videos where we managed to get the thing running. We're also totally rebuilding it at the moment. That video hasn't come out yet, so you will sort of see it in its nearly finished state. So close your eyes if you don't want to ruin that. Behind the green door, let's have a little look. Can we see him? Is he working? Is he sitting down? Taking it easy? Ah, it's Colin. Also known as the elder statesman. Yeah, there we go.
Hello, boss.
I'll have to edit that out again, Colin. The elder statesman of the workshop here. And Colin's looking at the Fardier engine as we believe it's not balanced correctly.
1 HT lead.
There we go. We'll leave him in peace, but as you can see, we have done quite a bit of work to this since you saw it last, so there will be a video on that soon. So we'll scoot past. George, Chloe, where are you? Hello. Ah, they're over here somewhere in the workshop. We must get round to this Peugeot P4, and we've got another one to be doing up here. We've got so much on at the moment. Right, okay, come around and see what you're up to. Ah, you're in the inner sanctum, as we call it, and you're greasing up a shaft.
Yes, exactly that. We are servicing the CV joints of the Fardier.
Brilliant. So that's all part of the rebuild. As I said, you'll see in another video. Doing a good job. That's pretty mucky, isn't it? And when you move it, then it's sort of, you can see it's clearing off, so we have to carry on piling that CV joint stuff in there. Sounds alright, that joint though.
It's getting there, it's getting better.
Good.
Now.
And here's the rubber boots that we've got to put on, and the attachment. So that, really look forward to that. Maybe a little bit later in this video we'll show people putting that back on. So I'll leave you with it. There we are. Bye. Bye. Right, okay, so everyone's got a job. Everyone's looking really busy at the moment, so I better get on it, and there goes Colin. We better get on and get some things done. More content that will be coming for you in the near future. There's going to be a lot more of the Peugeots, because I've just shown you those two that need work. Here's one that we finished earlier, so that's looking really nice in what we describe as a Teutonic grey. And also here, something a little bit different. This is the Renault R2087. So yes, we've done a bit of work on this as well. We've got this up and running. So I am editing a video at the moment showing the restoration of this. So we'll get that out very soon. So for now, what we need to do is to get the beast warmed up. We'll let it idle for a bit, and then we'll reverse it out, and then we're going to go through all of the levels. So we're looking at engine oil, coolant, hydraulic elements, seeing if all the oil's in there. I think we've got a slight leak on the fan, so we'll have another look at that. So Ollie's jumped in at the moment. Let's go over and say hello to him. All right, Ollie?
Yeah, you?
Did you manage to actually fit inside of there?
Only just a bit of a squeeze in this one, but I managed.
Okay, so the battery isolator, is that on? So that'll be behind you on the bulkhead in by turret basket. I can hear that. Yep. On the dashboard there's a button, a 24 volt button, that should light the dash up.
Make sure press the right one. Yeah.
Okay, then we're checking that it's in neutral, so the neutral should be the light extinguished.
Yep.
Okay, and then basically it's the start button.
A little bit of gas.
Yeah, a couple of pumps of gas. As soon as it starts, just lay off the button.
Ready?
Yeah, ready. Okay, so there we go. Hasn't started in about a month. Obviously a little bit of unburnt diesel coming out there, but apart from that, started really well. Batteries weren't struggling, because we've had those on charge, because we've got new batteries in there. So it's looking good. So we'll let that tick over and warm up slightly, then we'll reverse it out and we'll start having a look at the different levels, looking at the tracks as well to make sure they're all in tip-top condition for Tankfest 2024. What we need to do now is we need to get at the engine pack. The engine pack in the AMX13 is in the front. This one's got a Detroit diesel, so it's about, I think it's about like 12.5 litre, two-stroke V6 engine in there. It's got a massive turbo on it as well, so it propels this along at quite a hefty speed. But to be able to get to this, the fan is attached to one of the access panels, and the access panel to come up, it would hit the gun. So what we have to do is rotate the gun to the left, about 90 degrees, or well, just under that really, say 45 will do, and that'll enable us to lift up the panels over the engine so we can get at all the different reservoirs. So we'll do that now. Ollie, you in position?
Yep.
You can rotate the turret on these tanks in two different ways. One is by hand, so we've got Ollie in there at the moment cranking like mad, and also there's a hydraulic pack as well that does it, but we're not running the engine at the moment, so we don't want to use the hydraulic pack, so Ollie's building up some muscles in the back. I think that'll do now, Ollie.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. First things first, we need to get the crutch out of the way. So this is these two bars here, and they hold the barrel. The reason for that is it's quite a heavy gun, and once you're going across country, it's a tendency to bounce slightly. So unless you've got the hydraulic pack turned on, so therefore it's really useful for when you're driving along without the hydraulic pack on. So let's get that crutch down out of the way, and we need to take the spare running wheel off the front as well, so we can get the access panels. Okay, George, that one goes round. We need to take, these are the supporting brackets for the front deflector. Left arm goes down into the bracket. There we are. Fingers. And then these can come back across. Take him over. There you are. All tucked away nicely. So a lot of these items were kept on the glassy plate at the front to afford extra protection for the driver. Remember, the engine's just in here, so that would have given extra protection for the crew. Right, this wheel's going to take two people. It's quite a heavy piece of kit.
Got the bottom.
That's it.
Right, you get down.
Right, George, take it off, George.
So next we need to undo. Oh, the two Allen bolts done already, are they?
Yeah, the top piece.
Okay, so let's get the top up firstly. I think you've got both of them come up at once. That's it. Up you go with it. Heavy piece of kit.
Yeah, he's on it a bit.
Back towards me slightly, and you can let go. Just tighten him up just to make sure. And we can see, goodness, it's quite a bit of dust from some of the previous shows in there. And we'll get in and we'll have a look at the engine in a minute. So yeah, we're going to open up the front access doors, go all the way over. And there's the second. And there we've got the Detroit diesel V6. And we've got over here is the compressor and the turbo, so you can see them sat right in the front. So the air's being drawn in from this side of the tank through some air filters into the turbo, and obviously there's the exhaust coming in as well, which is, well, that's the exhaust coming out, sorry, and we've got the exhaust gases coming in to help spin it around. Now the fan up the top, which is providing a lot of the cooling, you can actually see it looks a little bit dirty around it. So what we're going to do is get some nice clean rags and a little bit of spray. We'll just clean that up nicely. So we're looking for any leaks on any of the pipes. This is the actual reservoir for the fan, so we're going to open that up in a second, see how much we've got in there. I've put it a little fill line on there, so that's as I filled it up when I put this tank away about a year ago. So we'll just check how much is dropped from that. I think we might have a very small leak down in the bottom somewhere on one of the filters, so we'll have to have a look at that. And then we've got the dipstick over here, and this is for the gearbox, and we've got a dipstick inside which is for the engine. So we're going to check all those now. So we're looking inside.
Doesn't look like it's dropped really.
No?
No, it looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, so we're still up to that fill line?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Oh, well done. Okay, we'll just clean off around the mouth of all of that now.
I'll put the cap back on to clean around so I don't brush everything back into it.
Okay, great. So it looks like the reservoir for the fan hasn't lost much, if any, so that's really good news.
Very little, if it has.
Yeah. So, standard French type dipsticks. We're going to clean it off first and then put it back in again. And then bring it back out again, and that will give us a nice reading. Let's have a look. So where are we on that? Okay, looks like, flip it over so I can see the back. It's not come out very clearly. Where is it? It's about.
It is there.
It is up to the notch. Okay, that's great. Great, and this doesn't look discoloured. Do you want to sniff it? Smell if it smells like anything's burnt.
Smells like gearbox oil.
Smells like gearbox oil. That's fine. Put that back in then. Okay, this is looking pretty positive. What we will need is a pair of pliers, because we need to undo the vent, the filler cap on the top of the radiator reservoir. But before we do that, George is inside the tank, and down there to his right are some butterflies, and those are undone. And then you should be able to take that panel out, so it'll probably fall towards you and you lift it out of the driving position. There we go. And inside you should see the dipstick. So you've got a cloth there to clean the dipstick off. So take it out once, clean it, put it back in again. That'll give us our true reading. It's quite a long one. There we are. Okay, let's see for the camera. Where are we? Let's have a look. Oh, right. Up here, that's great. And there's a little F on it, which means full, because this is an American engine, so everything's written in English. So that's fantastic news. What does it smell like? Overly diesely or?
Just oily.
Oily, that's fine. No smell.
That's fine. No
Couple of seasoned noses here, as these both chaps work on lorries most for the day job, so that's great. Clean bill of health on that. And now using the pliers, do you want to undo? Right, can you see it?
Bubbling out.
Bubbling out. So that's just basically water pressure. So that's fantastic. If you've got pressure in your cooling system, then you know you haven't got a leak, because otherwise it'd be leaking out somewhere already. So just going to undo that. It takes ages for it to heat up. We'll be all right. Won't come hissing out at you. And then we just want it to be basically about halfway full.
Yeah, it's clean, full.
Do you want to taste it? Stick your finger in, have a taste.
It's got antifreeze in it.
Antifreeze, yeah, tastes nice and sweet. So that's Ollie's liver, now damaged.
Wouldn't be the first time, I guess.
Yeah, well, you know what you get up to on the weekend. In the vehicle, in the hull, we've got good oil, it looks nice and clean, we've got good water, the gearbox, it looks great, so we're in a really good shape. What we're going to do now is something we've not actually done since I purchased it, but I should be owning up to that. Inside is a hydraulic tank, a tank of hydraulic oil that's used for moving the turret and the gun around. So what we're going to do is open that up, and there is a dipstick in there, and let's see what that looks like and the levels we're dealing with. Any words of wisdom, Colin?
Beautiful sunny day. I'm lost for words.
Thank goodness, because they'd only be rude anyway.
Thank you very much. Here you are, spanner.
Thank you. There we are all.
Jesus. Thank you.
So the hydraulics on one of these turrets is all this big unit at the bottom. Do you want to point at the motor, Ollie, so they can see it?
So this is the hydraulic motor here, and the reservoir sits in the bottom there.
That's it, and you can just about see J-A-U-G-E, so that's indicating...
Jaeger.
Probably in German that is, isn't it?
Yeah, Jaeger is a German company. Ah, we need a 17.
It's 17,
Oh, I
is it?
got one. Right. Fingers crossed.
So there should be a dipstick under that, so Ollie's going to undo that, pull the dipstick out, wipe it off. There, boss.
There you go.
Someone's all jeans for you to...
Wonderful. Yeah, love to see it.
So, Ollie's a big chap, as you know. You can see him absolutely squeezed into this tiny
I have to
little
say,
turret.
it's not as luxurious as the ERC by a long shot.
So here we've got the loading mechanism at the back of the bustle. Here's the actual breech of the gun, very close to your head.
Yeah, I think that is got to be German. Mini Maxi.
Mini and Maxi, yeah, it's probably
I think
German.
you're spot on.
Spot on, that's good. Have a sniff. Does it smell burnt?
Doesn't smell great.
No, let's have a whiff.
It smells a bit funky, but it's not terrible.
Working on a tank, it has a hull and a hull plate underneath, so the engine's always sat inside of what is in effect a box, a metal box. So any loss of any fluid is quite easy to see because it's dropping straight down onto the bottom of the hull and sitting there. Conversely, if you have got a leak or you've not filled things up correctly and you overspilt, then you can actually end up leaving oil or other fluids, even fuel perhaps, in the bottom, which is not great. And you've got an engine in there that's producing a lot of heat. So it's always worthwhile checking to see what sort of fluids you've got swashing around in the bottom of the hull and getting them soaked up as soon as possible. So we've talked about this being the dipstick for the gearbox. The gearbox is in here. Over here is the diff. The diff is sort of in the centre, and over on the end is what's described as the lateral brakes. The lateral brakes are the outside brakes, and they're dry brakes, and they grip to help give you very tight turning. You don't usually use them on the move because otherwise it can destabilise the tank. You always sort of steer with the diff brakes, which are the inside tillers on this one. Now to check the diff and the lateral brakes, we're just going to remove this panel here, and there'll be a dipstick in here, and we'll be able to take that out, look at the level, have a sniff and see how our diffs are getting on. If the oil is dirty or it smells burnt, then obviously the diffs are not adjusted correctly. They should be okay, but we'll just check. There we go. And there we have.
No, all right.
Check, you don't want to use a copper sealing ring. Max, good.
A little bit too full, maybe.
It smells a little bit burnt.
Slightly, it's not too bad.
Yeah, very, very. But that's. I've got a terrible secret to give away. Is when I got it, I didn't check the differential, and I drove it, and the differential oil was leaking out all over the floor, and it heated up in there and started burning. So quite hot here in the sun. Okay, so 2 sets of braking on the AMX tank. You've got lateral brakes, which are on the outside, and you've got differential brakes, which are bathed in oil, which is on the inside. What I mean by the inside and the outside is of the front sort of axle or drivetrain. This is how you adjust them. This here is the outside lateral brake, and there's an equivalent on the other side, and this is the actual diff. You'll see here plungers. So Ollie, do you want to pull on the right hand inside tiller, please? You can see a very small movement. It's not a great deal. And there's another one of these on the back, and they both move at the same time. And then the opposite side, Ollie, and you'll see this one move. Oh, hardly anything. These can be adjusted. These are the adjusters in here. By screwing these inwards, what you're doing is you're tightening up the band, and so there's less travel needed, so they come on sooner. You can see on this one, we've actually wound this one out quite a way. The reason is this was locking on. The design flaw, if you want to call it, with these is rainwater comes in and manages to get on top of these, and they actually rust the plungers. So the plungers, when you pull the brake on, stay in, and therefore they're constantly keeping the brakes on. That's what happened with this one, and you can see a great deal of heat's actually been put into this one. What's in behind these? Let me over here, George, I'll show you. So what you've got is this, and this is your brake band. So you know we've been talking about brake bands, and what happens is this is around a metal drum inside, and as you put the brakes on, so then these are pulled together like this, and this makes this smaller, and it grips onto that drum and therefore stops power going in that direction. So you've got one on the left hand side, you've got one on the right hand side. So obviously by putting these on and these getting smaller like this, that's how it's transferring the power from the left to right through the diff. So there we go, and you can see the probably asbestos pads there on the inside, and that's actually what's creating the friction. So great that we've got a full set of these. New ones, not easy to come by, but there we go. Changing them can be quite a feat. If you want to change the ones that are the lateral brakes on the outside, you've actually got to take the entire drive sprocket off. And the drive, there's actually a reducer in there as well, so the actual sprocket comes off, and then there's all the gearing behind it. If you come with me now, I'll show you one. If you can see in the dark in here. Okay, so this is what I would describe as the reducer. So this is where the power from the gearbox comes in, and then it goes out to this drum, and that is where the teeth are attached to this outside, which actually drive the tracks. So this one's sort of upside down in effect. It's quite heavy, so I'm not going to be pulling that around, and you have one on either side.